Hi. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for coming on and saying hi. Let's see. We're letting more viewers know you're live. Um, give it a couple of seconds and then I am going to start talking. I appreciate you being here. Dee-dee-dee. Hello. Hello, 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 hello. Good to see you. Oh, I'm going to need a wand. I have tools, and one of them is a wand. Okay, let's talk about The Body Keeps Score. And if you don't know what that book is about, it is about trauma. So this is your trigger warning, GTFO, if you don't want to hear any of this stuff that I'm going to talk about. I'm teaching a class tomorrow, and I thought, you know what, let's talk about this. It's so crazy. Like, the book it's on the bestseller list every week. And one of the pickles about the book is that it is very triggering. It's very triggering. And so what's helpful to me is just knowing that I have somebody else that I'm not alone in it. Actually, I need to close the door. Hold on. You didn't need to hear my dryer. And that, I can take it in like little bits. I can take the information in little tiny bits. And I also like it when, somebody explains something like research from the book or an experience from the book, and then can also talk about their own experience. And so that's what I'm here to do. So today I'm going to talk about triggers, and then we'll see where we go from there. But this is from chapter 12, and it's a story. And the reason I want to talk about triggers is triggers can be so frustrating and maddening. Like, we're just trying to have a day. And then something triggers us, and the trauma gets activated, or a trauma response gets activated, or we have to check out mentally, or we are irritable and annoying. Just like our day is ruined or whatever. So this story comes from another CPTSD book, which is Stephanie Foo's CPTS memoir. And I'm going to talk about a car accident, not the details, but just, again, trigger warning. So she talked about like how the brain works with trauma. So it's like, okay, let's say we're in a car accident, and we think like, okay, well, if I see the kind of car that hit me in the car accident, or if I see if I hear a siren, or I hear screeching brakes, or something like that, that makes sense. That makes sense for a trigger. Like, we can like live with that. Like, we get that. It's like when we hear a siren, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense that I'd have like a tough time with it. But what actually happens is we are not only taking in the siren and the screeching brakes and the sound, and our brain is basically like memorizing everything around us. It's the song that was playing before the crash happened. It's the song that's now playing. It is one of the ones that sticks in my head is she mentioned like, so let's say like there's a Dunkin' Donuts. That's where the car accident happened. But when I'm in it, I'm not thinking, oh, there's a Dunkin' Donuts, and there's a mailbox, and there's this and there's that. Like, but the brain is, and it's unconscious, and it's outside of our awareness. So it's like if we're walking down the street and we hear screeching brakes, and we start to get a flashback, or we start, like, our heart is racing, or we're having a reaction, like, again, that makes sense. But let's say we're walking down the street and then we see the Dunkin' Donuts. And then we're freaking out, but we're thinking, what the fuck is wrong with me? Why am I like this? I feel so disgusting. But what we're not knowing or remembering is that in the accident, that was programmed in our brain. Our brain was like, this, whatever's happening to us right here, right now, is dangerous. And we never want this to happen again. And we need to have fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. We've got to make sure that we memorize everything to make sure that we can protect ourselves in the future. That's what's going on in our brain. We're just like, is the police here? Am I okay? Does anything hurt? Like, are you okay? Like, what? We're not thinking that our brain is taking in everything. And so I thought that story was so profound and helpful to me, because sometimes I'll go through my day and it's like, why do I feel this way when nothing happened? Like, nothing happened that was triggering. Well, my unconscious, my psyche has all the information of all the shit that went down in my past. And I don't know when a certain shit went down in the past, if some bad thing happened, what song was playing, but here it is on the radio, and I'm not connecting it to that thing, but all of a sudden I was in a fine mood, and now I'm depressed, or now I'm like, and so for me, it's just helpful for me. And what is this all for? What is this all for? For two things for me. It's self-compassion. When I feel like shit, and I didn't feel like shit before, like when I feel like shit, I'm like, oh, I must have been triggered by something that I wasn't aware of. Okay, well, what do I need to do to take care of myself? Like, I have CPTSD. This is just the way that it is for me. It's fewer and far between. And, because of my self-compassion and self-acceptance. Like, acceptance that I have this, that I'm going to be triggered, and I'm going to be triggered by things that I don't realize, is the way that it goes. Okay, so now let me actually, hi, it's good to see you too. It's like, I can't see you, but I know what you look like. Let me quickly see if you guys have any questions. Let's see. And if you do have any questions, please let me know. Anything about what I'm talking about, or anything. Oh my God, I watched a video of yours. Oh my God. Oh, that makes me so happy. Oh my God, your therapist, bow down, bitch. Oh, so good. I love people who are the real deal, who get into this work. After Halloween, I had a migraine all day yesterday. I'm like, is Halloween triggering? Yeah, I missed the whole thing, really. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about, this is like one of the, this is a fear. This is a fear. I don't know if it would ever happen to me, but it's like, it is a fear, and it is like the thing of like terror nightmares, but it is from this book. And this woman named Nancy, bitch, she woke up during her surgery. Okay. And couldn't tell anybody, couldn't speak, couldn't move because of all the other drugs that was in her, but she was aware of what was going on. I can't. Okay. So talking about triggers. So I was going to just read you this passage about her triggers. Okay. And guess what? Here's even the better news. She works in a fucking hospital. Like, she's a nursing supervisor. So talk about having to, endure triggers of the horror that happened to you. Okay. This is what she says. And she, I'm going to tell you what a flashback looks like. That's the beginning of this. Again, take care of yourself. I want to tell you what a flashback is like. Okay. So she was having a surgery, and she could feel people in her belly. I can't. And then she could hear, and I don't know if she could hear, but like she could smell singed. So there was something being, cauterized or something. And so, so scary. Okay. I want to tell you what a flashback is like. It is as if time is folded or warped, so the past and the present merge. As if I was physically transported to the past. Symbols related to the original trauma, however benign, like the Dunkin' Donuts, however benign, in reality are thoroughly contaminated and so become objects to be hated and dreaded and avoided and just objects of horror. So things, that symbolically connect to the original trauma become objects to be hated, feared, destroyed if possible, avoided if not. For example, if an iron in any form, a toy, a clothes iron, a curling iron, came to be seen as an instrument of torture, each encounter with a scrub suit, so she'd be at work and somebody would be in scrubs, left me dissociated, confused, physically ill, and at times consciously angry. And so I just think that's really important. And that's the other thing, is that it doesn't have to be the thing, like we're not going to ever encounter, if you work in the medical field, you might encounter a cauterizing instrument from the OR. Like, that's not a normal thing to encounter. She might, because she works in a hospital, but that's not a normal thing for us to encounter if that was our experience. However, do you see how the brain, so anything that could burn, any kind of iron, a toy, an actual, can she iron clothes? The curling iron, any of those trigger those horrifying, she said it best, like the instrument of torture. So again, the point of us knowing this, the point of us is so that we can make peace with, increase our self-acceptance, and increase our self-care and self-compassion to, it's like, and again, we may not know, she realized that she was connected these things. Sometimes we won't connect them. Sometimes we won't. But it's just to know, if things get hard, there must have been some kind of trigger. And that's why we have safe people. That's why we have a therapist. That's why we, do whatever our self-care acts are. Is it journaling? Is it telling a safe person? Is it, doing something physical because the body keeps a score? It's embodied. And so does that, what are these things that we can do, because resistance of the trigger. So it's I can only imagine if this was me before I had this information and it was me that this happened to, I'd be like, Elizabeth, you're so stupid. It's just a fucking curling iron. Get over it. Jesus, you have frizzy hair. It needs to be curled. Curl your fucking hair. I'd be so mad at myself. It's but I didn't do that. I didn't make the connection. My psyche did. And what is my psyche doing? Trying to avoid torture. And the psyche somehow, the unconscious, the brain, the body, whatever we want to say, is it connected those two things. And so what I'm saying is okay, guess what? I can't use a curling iron. I guess I have to buy a Dyson. I just can't, I'm not doing that to myself. I can't, I'm going to send my clothes out for ironing. I'm not doing it. I'm just not, it's too hard. Or I really like to iron, or ironing is important to me, or okay, how can I get comfortable with this again? Is there another way? Or do I just need to get a steamer? You know what I'm saying? How can I, and my thing is, it's a lot of my life has been given away to either toxic people or without and with my consent. Or, definitely without my understanding that that's what I was doing. But, and I've wasted a lot, and I don't want to say wasted, but I've spent a lot of my life either coping or resisting, the trauma, living the body keeping the score and me not knowing what the fuck to do about it. And I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just not. So my thing is like, okay, if I love ironing so much and yet this is an instrument of torture, either one of two things is in my case, I don't love ironing. And so it's like, I don't iron. That's someone else's job in my house. I'm not doing that to myself. I could spend a year working with somebody and trying to get comfortable with that trigger, with that iron. Like I could do that, but I don't want to waste my time. I want to actually have fun. I want to feel what it likes to feel fully alive and to experience like the good things that I deserve, like I want to do that now. I have worked very hard. I've done a lot of like clawing myself up for the mountain of personal growth. Like I've done it, and if something happens to me in the future, I'll do it again. That's no problem, because I want to get back to this place where I get to be Elizabeth and I get to do what the fuck I want to do. And so it's like I'm done ironing. Like I'm done with it. I will find other solutions. If it's something to where like it would debilitate my life, of course I would go get the support that I need. Like, do I need exposure there? Like what has to happen? Like what's going to happen? But, again, for me, the whole point of my existence on this app, of why I read this shit and share it, or why I share my own, work is, my own personal growth work is, if we can just increase some self-compassion, if we can normalize this shit, that would be great. If we could, my friend that said to me this morning, she's like, I just want to be on my own side. I'm like, holy shit. Like, yes, I want to be on my side. I want to be on my side. Yeah, like I've spent most of my life being on other people's side. Yeah, they have a point. Yeah, they should. You're right. I should twist myself into a pretzel so I could like attend to you. And it's like, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm on my side. That's what for me is the best part of this work. And like the little secret, don't tell anybody, is that shit gets a lot better if you just accept it. You believe yourself. You believe that these things, happened to you, and that these things went down, and that it was hard, and you survived it. Otherwise, you wouldn't fucking be here. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, you're not here by accident. Like, a lot of us who have this aren't here anymore. And so the fact that we're here is a big fucking deal. And that we get to keep going and we never stop, because that's my deal. Like, 'cause I just want to be Elizabeth. I just want to experience what life is like with less trauma, less addiction, more Elizabeth. That's what I want. Let's see if I have any questions. Like, what do you do? What do you do if you have to interact with the very thing that triggers you? Same. That would be... so there's like two answers. One is like, if it's a person, there's a whole set of answers. And if it is a thing, that can be another set of answers. So I think I've kind of already spoken to the thing, and thank you for asking, is, the thing is like, how can, the other thing that CPTSD kids like textbook is no one protected us, so we don't know how to protect ourselves. And so how can I protect myself from this thing? So how can I protect myself? And so I'll just give an example. I'm a nurse, retired. But like, it's a long story, but like I really hated giving shots. Like I really hated it. And I worked at a pediatrician's office, And I hated it. It really upset me. Like, I'm literally causing child pain. It's very upsetting to me. And it's like, I'm an adult, I'm a nurse. I know how to do this. Like, what, this is actually helping the kid. But it wasn't ever for me. Obviously, I was always supposed to be a therapist, but it took me a while to get there. But anyway, so I might have to I can do all these, remembering that this thing that is triggering me, it's upsetting me, is, for the greater good, for this family, for the, maybe I'm saving this kid's life. I don't know, I'd have to do a lot of work. I might share with somebody, like this, or I might talk to, specifically help me protect myself from this thing that I have to do. There's a lot of people that, they enter a certain career or a place, and they're like, I can't do that. I have to quit that job, or I have to, and I did, I did the same thing. So you might have to come to a point where I can't do it. When I counsel somebody that is coming to me for a career issue, and that usually means that there's somebody very toxic and very abusive at the workplace. And what I teach them is I say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to throw every fucking tool that we can at this. We're going to use this tool, this tool, this tool, this tool, this tool, this tool. We're going to throw everything at this that you can physically do, you can mentally do, hear all the strategies. And if you find out that they do not work, you might have to leave. That might be the only solution. But here you are. These things that I happen to know and happen to try, you haven't tried them yet. The things that I can teach you, you haven't tried them yet. So here's a bunch of tools, and here's a bunch of strategies. See if they work for you. But it may be too triggering to leave. I mean, it may be too triggering to stay. But you can only find that out if you use every tool and every strategy. Sometimes, so that's my answer to that, and sometimes it could be something in your own home. Sometimes it could be a bully at school or a bully at work, that you might have, there might be somebody on your team, so again, figuring out all the tools to work. And then you might find out nothing. I might have to leave this. I might have to do that to protect myself. Or I have gained enough wisdom, knowledge, strategies, and tools that this is no longer an issue for me. If it's a person, really it's the same thing. It is, there's just some things that I might have, part of growing up and part of living and part of having CPTSD, but also having other diseases, not that CPT is a disease, but having an addiction. There's certain things because of I'm in recovery for an eating disorder. Well, there's certain foods that I can't eat. I mean, they got so twisted and triggered in my mind, it's just too hard to eat them. The thoughts and the cuckoo crazy that kicks off when I eat these certain foods, because they're so triggering, because of my past. There could be a food that's just right adjacent to it that is a non-issue. It's a non-issue, whatever, but it's that because it was so tied up in my childhood or whatever. And I just have to say, you know what? I can't have it. That's a loss. They get to have it. She gets to have it. He gets to have it. But I just don't get to have it. Another way to say it is I choose not to have it because I choose recovery. But there's just sometimes things that we have to lose, and that is also part of growing up. Part of growing older is in my 40s, I lost my eyesight. I never wore glasses until the old age thing started happening. It's okay, well, I guess I wear glasses now. All right, that's sad. There's just some things. And so instead of, for me, pathologizing it and oh, I don't get to have this, and something's wrong with me, and I'm so fucked up that I don't get to have these things that other people get to have. I don't look at it that way anymore. I'm yeah, that is actually a part of life. It's a part of development. We lose things. And so, when you leave home and then go to college, you're losing this, but you're also gaining this. And so it's like, yeah. And so, but we can still be sad that we've lost that, but I don't have to focus that. Well, I guess I can't be around that particular trigger. So I hope that was helpful. Thank you for following me. Let's see. But I just want to say, like, it is very painful, like to having to interact with a trigger. And you can, there, again, there's lots of things that you can do. She talks about symbols, like things symbolically connected. And so she's talking about them in the sense of like anything that's an iron got connected to her terror, became an instrument of torture. So, okay, so that's a way symbols can work. So symbolically, even if it's not the same, or symbolically, like the person's scrubs, a doctor or nurse in scrubs was a trigger. We can also use symbols to help us. And so some of the symbols that I might come up with, when I used to have an office, I used to do sand play therapy. And so I had tons of miniatures in my office. And so like sometimes what I would do is like, is there a symbol? Like for instance, let's say this is lame, but bear with me. Let's say part of a thing that triggered somebody was a rose. Okay, so let's say there's a rose that's actually, I've been triggered by a rose. That's why I do not like red roses. So pink or white are good for me. So rose, okay. Well, all right. Well, what comes up for me, thinking about symbolically a rose, is the Beauty and the Beast. Okay, so we can put that rose under a cloche or whatever you call that. We can put that rose in a glass. I can protect myself from that rose. I can think symbolically. And if this were me, I take this stuff, as you can see, very literally. Like I would then start taking, a Beauty and the Beast figurine in my purse, or I might like get a bell keychain or something like that. I might start bringing these symbols of protection with me to the place where the thing has me triggered. Sometimes I'll use my phone screen to do that. So I'll put some sort of symbol. At one time I was visiting somebody scary, and every time I would go visit that person, like I put a Patronus on my my phone. What is it called? Lock screen. So like I take this stuff very literally. Like I literally bring symbols. I will buy a symbol to bring with me to help protect me. Like what, I do it in the clothes that I wear. If I were to give a talk, like I kind of need to be armored up. Like I need to be wearing heels. I need to, like here I am, like in jeans and whatever, but like I need protection. I kind of need to step into a certain kind of archetype. I really play with symbols and archetypes and fairy tales to protect me. So that's just something to think about, that we actually have, our psyche has a lot in store for us. Like it has a lot of ways that it actually helps us. And if you just think about like, who's your favorite superhero? Like what superhero do you relate with the most? Or who do you, like what was your favorite book as a kid? Like any of those, it's like, okay, well, what would Superman do in this situation? Like what would Batman do? Like what would, the Riddler do? Like he would tell a joke. Like what, like villains can help us too. In fact, villains might be very helpful around a trigger. So it's just something to play with. And for me, it's really fun. And sometimes I find answers that I didn't even know that I needed. So that's something that I do. Oh God, yes, you have a necklace. And crystals, genius. Exactly right. There's a bow on me somewhere at all times. And so I don't know why that's been a protective symbol with me. Maybe it's like, and here is my boundary, and it's a knot, and here, but it's still cute. So, yeah. And the shoes we let, like like the whole thing, like the bracelets, tattoos. So yeah, anything like that. So hopefully, like the biggest takeaway is today, like if you take anything away, is just more empathy, more self-kindness, more self-acceptance. Believe yourself. Oh, just if we could just believe ourselves. Like that was really hard. Or why don't I want to go to the grocery store? I don't want to even go. I don't want to leave the house. And it's like, of course you don't. It's hard. Like, and it's okay. Like you can go to the store or you not go to the store. But if you go to the store, you'll get the food that you wanted. If you just have to like think about that, like which of these seems harder. Like, do you have enough to eat here, or because the consequences you won't if you don't go to the store. Like just constantly believing myself instead of saying like, oh, you're so stupid. Like it's just a grocery store. Why can't you just get in the car? Why can't you just whatever it is? It's just to start believing ourselves, increasing self-compassion, and just like, yeah, I got this. And that does the thing of like, we become the parent that we never had. We become the mother we never had, or the father we never had. Or, in my case, I think about it, it's like, I could have really used a fairy godmother. So I decided to become one for myself. And so, we get to have that now, and we're the ones we've been waiting for to do it. So I hope that's helpful. If anybody else has a question, please send it now. Oh, good. Oh, yay. Okay, I hope that was helpful. I'll talk to y'all later. Love you. Bye. And how do I leave? This is how. Okay, bye.